Good morning, this is Data Trader Pro. This is pre-market update on Thursday, July 21st. And yeah, so let's start. This is pre-market data, sectors performance basically flat on indices. A few things are up pre-market. Metals are attempting a bounce back very, very slightly from well, gold in particular. Silver's down a little bit, but from oversold condition coming off its recent high. We'll look at the block trades on that shortly. Just a very quick recap of what happened yesterday. We got a neutral range day signal at 10:15 a.m. That was invalidated by a higher close. What happened was we gapped up overnight on the futures, and we stayed fairly neutral for the first part of the morning, although things were positive on the dollar weighted, but basically became a trend day throughout the day. So buying, there was net buying all day long to keep markets up, or they didn't make much progress after the gap up, that's for sure. So I'm not really sure, sort of what the end game is here, but it looks like they're intending to push a little bit higher here. Okay, so the DTP MCC, which is our version of the intraday McClellan, agrees with that. Again, our trend day reading was about here, so fairly neutral for the first part of the day. Shortly after that, we pushed up and stayed up all day long. Same thing with our net issues, which is a combined net issues. Not too long after open, maybe by about 10:30, things got quite bullish and stayed up there all day. Our combined net volume, trend day in terms of its direction, came off zero off open and trended up all day. So yeah, so there was some net buying yesterday, but I'm still, as of our last update 3 days ago, still quite cautious about this market. We do make new highs, but it's on lower and lower volume, and some volatility space indicators are looking very oversold. So it's a bit dangerous to take a long here, in my view. We'll discuss that shortly. Okay, breadth. Well, certainly NASDAQ has taken over the leadership role as of late. It's still under its June or July last year high. I believe it was sometime in July, and it was around earnings period, right around this time of year, so maybe exactly a year ago. NASDAQ. Now, NASDAQ and Russell did not make a high at the same time last year. Russell made a high much earlier and then trended down, made a lower high when NASDAQ made its high, and has never retaken that high. So S&P 500 and the Dow have made new highs. The NASDAQ and the Russell have not. So we're seeing a little bit of indicators like that, these divergences where maybe markets aren't that healthy. So this is a theme that I've been talking about for the last update or so. Okay, volatility space. If you look at VXST, which is the 9-day version of the VIX, it's a 9-day implied volatility rolling index. Whenever it gets down to 10 or sub 10, and it did dip late last week just below 10, it popped back up a little bit. That's usually it's 100% occurrence that a move up in volatility is coming. So since its inception, the VXST doesn't have a long track record like the VIX does. It's a relatively new index, but in the last few years, it's 100% occurrence. So we're looking for a move up in volatility. The VIX actually got into the 11s, as you can see, and let's have a look at what that actually looks like on the chart. Okay, so this is a long-term daily marker at 12 roughly on the VIX, and the 12 seems to be the practical bottom for 30-day implied volatility, because what happens is when it gets that oversold, people are overly complacent. It's a reflection of a lack of interest in protective put positions in SPX, and it just means that too many are on one side of the boat. So we actually had a record fall. In the 26-year history of the VIX, we've never had a move of this many points this fast to the downside. We have to the upside, but not to the downside. So yeah, so we're past, we hit past the 12 level, and we are, there's really not too many places to go rather than up. You can see on the stochastics, very, very oversold and ready for a move up. When that happens, is it today? It could very well be today, but it'll happen within the next few sessions, is my best guess. VXST, very similar scenario. Very low. Every touch of in the tens or below tens has started a volatility move up. If you look back, every occurrence has started volatility. Either it's a mean reversion move and it goes back down, or it's the beginning of something bigger. This was last August, so I'm not saying we're going to have a repeat of that event. But some things are eerily similar to last August. I mean, we're having sort of indexes not moving in the same direction necessarily at the same time. No new highs on Russell, no new highs on NASDAQ. S&P seems to be pushing along just tickety-boo. But, with volatility like this, it's not a point to mortgage your house and go long right at the top, is my view. So anyway, let's move on back to the site, and we'll look at block trades very quickly. Oops, sorry. And okay, so the picture on block trades for quite a while now, this whole run up, is that we've every dip has been bought. We've been a lot of late reported block trades, like the Qs are a good example here. We think we're going down. There's some distribution here. It goes down. You see a bunch of late reported prints, pops above the price. Then that's support, and it never drops below that. There's some prints, and it looks like sells. There's some buys down below. Price, pops up above. You see later that there were actually some buys, some late reported prints. So they keep supporting every little dip. Buy the dip is still in play. We've got a lot of activity up here, but it's just been really, really hard to pick a top on this, because it's been the Energizer bunny market. It just keeps going and going and going. So when they run out of steam, or what will be the catalyst for the markets to turn, we're not sure. But with volatility positioned like this, it can happen any moment. So that's my cautionary tale. IWM, a lot of supportive prints, but then some prints on the highs as well. Obviously, this 119.20 level will be support. We mentioned in our previous video all these support levels below 118.15 all the way down to 114.16. QQQ support is obviously these prints at 112.13, 111.80. And then on numerous levels below 111.21. Every level they bought at is basically support now. So okay, so 110.94, 110.30, and then back down to 108.65. SPY, obviously 216.15. There's a lot of prints in the 216 area over the last week or so. So lots of these prints in the high 215s. All the way down to high 214s up to low 216s. Tons of support there. So it's going to take some effort to break through that. Okay, I think that's. Oh yeah, metals. Metals are an interesting position here. I may have missed it doing this video, but I wanted to take a long silver trade. Why? Because silver was just a little more oversold relative to gold. So metals had a big rally up, as everyone knows, and then they've had what looks like a very corrective move back, and we keep getting some accumulation pattern block trades on every local low. So, and we certainly did yesterday at close, and we're above those prints now. So I've seen a lot of very panicky metals messages on StockTwits and Twitter, and you can see that the people who were late chasers are getting freaked out and stopped out of their positions. That's a pretty good indicator that it's a good time to go long. But obviously we'll use the recent lows. Gold on the futures, probably something around high 1200s, low 1300s is kind of the line of demarcation. Over 1300 you can be bullish. Much below that and things get a little questionable, we'll say. GDX, huge trade at the bottom, but most of these are rebalancing trades for the leverage ETFs, but they still coincide with turning points, as you can see, right? So push down, push down, push down. It's the end of the day, on the end of a big move. All these rebalancing trades come out, and then boom, we move up. Silver, not a lot of block trade activity, other than, you know, lows we had quite a while ago. There were a lot of buys. There have not been a lot of big sells on silver, so that also leads me to believe that it's going up again. Okay, all right, that should do for today, and we'll see you next time.